So hello guys, welcome. Today we'll see how to do testing of M.E.G from UV transmission point of view in spectrometer. So this is my spectrometer. So I'll switch it on. So let me give you a close look. So once this is on, this is the main menu which it will appear. So in that cell, press 2 and select any program. You can select 1, 2, 3, 4 any program. Let's say I'll select number 4. Then press this blue button and in quick succession around 4-5 times press this green button. This sound which you are hearing, this buzzing sound, it is a normal sound. It is if it is there, then don't be amazed. So now around 4-5 times I have pressed this button. Now I will come back to main menu. This setup which I have done now, it is to be only done once you are switching on this spectrometer. So once you have switched on and you have done this initialization or initial setup, after that we don't have to do that thing again and again. So now in this we'll come to number 2, we'll press number 2 and here we'll be doing these two tests, wave scan and wave scan transmission. So for wave scan, here I'll be doing this with DI. So let me show you how to prepare for this. So this UV transmission we'll be doing in such a similar cell which is called quartz glass. These glass are called quartz glass. These glass are not visible in UV scanning. So that's why we are using these glass. This is given with the spectrometer itself. So first I'll wash it with the methanol. And if you have a tissue paper, you can wipe it with a tissue paper, or if you have a cloth, cotton cloth, then that's much better. So first what we will do is we'll make a reference. So for that we have to add DI into this. So I have added DI into this. This is deionized water which I have put in this quartz glass, and that I'll be putting inside this spectrometer. So for doing this wave scan test, that is absorption test, I'll take my reference sample of DI. This is pure deionized water. I'll press 6. Now here you can see there is no x-axis line. I'll press this blue color button. And here an x-axis line is found at 0.00. So at every wavelength, the absorption is 0.000. So what we want is, we want absorption at 220 wavelength. So I'll bring this with these keys. At 220 wavelength, I'll remove this. Now in the spectrometer guide itself, they have mentioned that for example, they have given for methanol, pure methanol will have a typical absorbance of reading of less than 0.3 at 220 nanometer wavelength. So that indicates a pure, good indicator in purity of methanol. So this is for methanol and we are reading for M.E.G. So those readings are almost to be similar. So that's why in this case also we'll refer that we'll also check at 220 wavelength that our reading shall be less than 0.3. So this is what we are going to check. And now I'll prepare my tank sample. So these are my tank sample for M.E.G. and these I'll be adding into my another second quartz glass. This is my tank sample. I'll insert this inside the slot. Press the calibration button. And here the absorption is 0.085, which is fair enough, which is less than 0.3. That's the basic idea. So this is one test. This is wavelength absorption test. Then I'm keeping this here. Then I'll come back. Then there is second test, which is wave scan transmission test. Again I'll press 7. So here also this y-axis line, I'll bring it to 220 nanometer. So this is at 220 nanometer. First I will put my DI water. On the right hand slot, press the blue button. So it has analyzed that. As you can see, it is giving analysis on different wavelengths: 220, 250, 275, 350. But it is recommended to use the transmission wavelength also at 220 to check how much is the absorption of UV in MEG. So this reference of DI water, I'll keep it aside. And this was my tank sample. So as you can see over here in the recordings, in the paper also it is mentioned that at 220 the absorption of UV in MEG must be around 70%. So this is what we are going to check over here. So I'll press this green button now for analyzation. So as you can see over here, its wavelength, it is coming to 62.8, which is close to 70. And if you want, you can check for other also at 275 wavelength. Here you can read the wavelength if you want. At 275, it should be something around 90. Here you can read the absorption is 90%, and in our sample case it is showing 90.6. And same thing at 350 nanometer, the absorption of UV shall be 98. So this is what we'll keep on doing at every 3 to 4 days for every tank which we have loaded. So that's why I've taken the other samples as well, and the same thing I'll be doing for the other tanks also. So I'll take it out, record this in my paper, come back, wash the glass and repeat this with the other tanks.